What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are taking a look at brand new Crystal Beast reveals. I think we have 3 more cards for the Crystal Beast structure deck revealed. Remember, we only have whatever it's called, Rainbow Dragon Overdrive as the only revealed card. Powerful card, but the deck takes a little bit to set it up, so hopefully we get some good cards that help us turbo into that a little bit faster. And then we also have the Kel Beck. This was actually revealed earlier this morning, but I didn't think it warranted its own video, but it is a cool card. We'll take a look at that at the end. So here we go, starting off with our first spell card. So no monsters here. I'll mention that at the end. The first card here is Crystal Protection. This is a normal spell card. You can only use the second effect once per turn. First effect reads, target 1 Crystal Beast monster you control. Destroy it. Monster card you control. That's very important, actually. Destroy it, then special summon 1 Crystal Beast token with the same type, attribute level, and attack and defense. So it copies everything, but you do just give up a Crystal Beast, get a token. That's totally fine because this deck is all about putting stuff in the spell and trap zone, and this turns a monster in the spell and trap zone essentially into a body on field to combo with, which is cool. So that's an extender. Second effect, if a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell and trap zone and this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish this card, special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your spell and trap zone. So another extender there that's actually pretty sweet. I like that you can use both of these in the same turn. So you could use the first effect to like pop a card and turn it into a token. And then maybe later in a combo you place another Crystal Beast with another card, and that could trigger this again to get you a summon there. That could be something like a Ruby Carbuncle for even further extension, and so on and so forth. I think this is a pretty good card. This is pretty nice. It has Crystal in the name, so I believe it's searchable off of is it Rainbow Bridge? Is Rainbow Bridge the one that searches the spell traps? But either way, pretty decent extender for the deck. And even that first effect isn't a once per turn. Only the second effect is a once per turn. So you can actually generate multiple tokens. Very interesting. All right, and then we move to 2 different trap cards here. The first one is Crystal Grace. This is a normal trap. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. Reads as follows. Special summon up to 2 Crystal Beast monsters from your spell and trap zones. And if you do, gain life points equal to their total original attack. Okay, interesting. Second effect, if a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell and trap zone while this card is in the graveyard. Okay, so this might be the recurring theme for the spell traps from this wave, as they all have like a nice little effect you can get later on in the grave. Okay, so if a Crystal Beast is placed in the spell and trap zone while this card's in the grave, even during the damage step, banish this card, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it is a Crystal Beast monster, either add it to your hand or special summon it. Otherwise, send it to grave. That's kind of nice. I mean, even if you don't hit a Crystal Beast, you do just mill a card, so there's still potentially value in that. But yeah, this card is interesting. I don't see the immediate value here. Maybe if we get some way that like kind of shows that immediately this card is an interruption, like maybe if you put the right Crystal Beast in the spell and traps, like we don't know yet, but what if we get a new main deck Crystal Beast that said like when this card is special summoned, like pop a card, whatever, and then this card becomes immediately more interesting, right? Because you're just trying to load that guy up in the spell trap zone, and then you special it out on the opponent's turn, get an interruption. That's what I want to see. Hopefully this card will lead us to interruption, but we'll have to see. For right now, I'm half and half on this card. We'll have to see. I think that bonus effect's also kind of, it's not as strong as the first one, for sure. The first one was way stronger, but still, you know, this is interesting. We'll have to see where it goes. And the final Crystal Beast card we have to look at here is Crystal Miracle. By the way, all 3 of these have Crystal in the name, so I think they're all Rainbow Bridge search targets, which is awesome. This is a counter trap, and it's got the Sapphire Pegasus on the art, of course, the best Crystal Beast for the main deck. Crystal Miracle, counter trap. You can only use the second effect once per turn, but the first effect is not hard once per turn. Interesting. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, so if any effect is activated, you can destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. Very, very nice. I mean, honestly, just a very simple negation. We'll see. I mean, right now I'm seeing these cards and I'm not hating them. I just want to see a Crystal Beast monster that A, helps us get to, helps us search the spell traps, because the spell traps are decent. The monsters are what are severely lacking. So if the monsters can help us get to the spell traps, then they become way better. And maybe one more monster that helps us, has an interruptive effect if it's quick effect summoned, or just summoned, period. That would be cool. Maybe a removal that could be quick with a card like that or not. All right, and the second effect, of course, is going to be a graveyard effect. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during this damage step, you can banish this card, place one Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell. Very nice. I believe that also applies to Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, the card we just got in Ghost from the Past, to load you up for that to get another, I put something like Ruby Carbuncle into the spell and trap zone or something to extend. That's actually pretty dang sweet. Okay, this one's got a good graveyard. This card's awesome. This card's great. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, I think all in all, again, I just want to see some connection, right? We have spells that search the spell traps. We have a spell that searches the monsters, but the monsters don't get us to the spell traps. That's kind of making me a little iffy right now, so I would love to see a spell trap searcher in the form of a monster that's easy to get access to. And I'd love to see a monster that has some sort of disruptive effect or something to make this card into not only an extender on the opponent's turn, but also an interruption as well. That would be pretty freaking sweet, but we'll see. There's only 4 cards in. We could easily end up with another 4 cards. No main deck monsters revealed. We'll see. All right, and then we finish up here with Kel Beck. This is a level 4 Earth Fairy, of course. This is the final card for Ishizu's support. 1500 attack, 1800 defense. You can only use the first and second effects once per turn each. The first effect reads: if a card or cards is sent from the hand and or deck to your opponent's graveyard, you can target one opponent's special summoned monster. Then you special summon this card from your hand, then return that monster to the hand. That's pretty good, actually. No joke. And then the second effect, if this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can send the top 5 cards of each deck to the graveyard. Then if you have Exchange of the Spirit engrave, you can set one trap from your graveyard. Okay, so looking at this card as a whole, I read this earlier, so I already kind of know my opinions on it. The second effect is meh. Unless you know you're in a matchup like Flunders and you're like, well, milling 5 could mean I could hit some of their big bird monsters, so that kind of takes those out of their deck, right? Something specific like that. But other than that, most matchups in Yu-Gi-Oh! Have multiple cards in their deck they want engraved. So the mill 5 is not ideal unless you play an insane amount of cards that you should be expecting to go +2 or 3 off of this effect. Then maybe it's worth, but overall it's probably not. It's cool if you have Exchange of the Spirit in your grave. To be able to set a trap back is pretty cool, because if you're playing a trap-oriented deck, you've got a good chance of hitting one off that mill 5, but you also have to make sure you put Exchange of the Spirit in the grave as well. So, interesting. But the first effect is where this card seems more interesting to me by far. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed when I read that effect, that's literally just a new hand trap. This could be playable as just a generically splashable hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just breaking it down. So just any card that sends a monster any card that sends a card from hand or deck to your opponent's grave will trigger this effect. So that means any fusion spell that is either using a material from hand or deck. That's every fusion in the game right now, barring a few. And if they have a few, it means they probably play other fusions in the deck they're also using that would use hand or deck. Secondly, hand traps. Any hand trap that's just discarding from the hand will trigger this card. Also very good. Continuing from there, stuff like Droplets, Super Poly. Any card that discards, doesn't say by effect, it just said any card is sent, period, cost or not, triggers this. Or any Foolish Burial effect, right? So there's actually a ton of stuff that will trigger this card. The question will be is if it's optimal. Because this is a trigger effect, it happens in a new chain after everything, I believe after the effect has resolved, that's in question. So you have to make sure if, I don't know. I think I think one of the few really good instances could be Long Wan and Sword Soul, where they go Long Wan, pitch a Worm or a Sword Soul card to summon it, because it pitched, you'd be able to trigger this, summoning this, and then you would bounce the long wand immediately, or the token. You can actually just remove the token, and you could put them in a really awkward position as far as, needing to extend from there. So random situations like that, we really need to analyze the meta and analyze specific scenarios that this card would come up mostly in and see if it really works. But I do think there is potential to this just end up being maybe not a main deck staple in many formats, maybe very specific formats, but maybe just another side deck card to consider, like a very specific hand trap that could have just like really good matchups because it just hits decks at the perfect time to bounce their, boss monsters or whatever it is. That could be pretty sweet. So there you go. All in all, that's everything I have for today. Want to see them round out the monsters for Crystal Beasts, but honestly don't hate the cards. I like the spell. I like the counter trap. We'll see about the second trap, or the first trap, I guess, in terms of, what other stuff they make to go with it. And then the Kel Beck's actually pretty sweet. A searchable hand trap for Earth Fairy decks. Pretty cool. But yeah, that's everything for today. Let me know your thoughts down below. Of course, what else do you want to see for the Crystal Beast stuff? And where do you fall on the Kel Beck card? Want to know what you're thinking there. But I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.